Hey, John, got some
Yes, sir.
listener questions for you. And
Awesome.
somebody asked a couple of weeks ago, what credit score ranges are eligible for mortgages? And that is a great question. I would assume
Yeah.
they're asking on the low end because certainly if you have an 850 credit score, I think everybody knows that is eligible for any kind of mortgage that you would like.
Yeah.
So talk about the ranges and talk about why those credit scores are important, because there's probably people listening who do not understand exactly why a credit score is important.
Yeah, credit scores are critical to, golly, they're filtering into a big part of everyone's life. So everybody has to be very conscious of their credit score, how they can work with their credit score, what they can do to potentially improve their credit score, all of which, by the way, which we are happy to counsel.
As you mentioned 3 or 4 months ago on the show, that if I had a credit card and the credit card had a credit limit of, let's say, $10,000, that I really didn't want to go over some percentage of that number, and I don't remember what that percentage was. What was it, John?
We often talk about 30%,
Okay.
because that's just a round even number to think about. But the truth is that Fair Isaac does, or the details, I should say, is
Yes.
Fair Isaac doesn't have a particular benchmark.
Okay.
We know that statistically speaking, the best of the best credit scores keep their credit utilization actually below 6%.
What sort of is that minimum score required for somebody to get in the game in terms of refinancing or getting a new mortgage or whatever?
Yeah, 580 is kind of the bottom level threshold we need to cross to get us into the mortgage game. Okay, but it's going to get significantly better and significantly more mortgage options available to the borrower as we cross a couple of other big hurdles. 600 being the next one, and then of course 620, things really open up for us. And the logic there is statistics. A mortgage loan is 8 times more likely to default with a credit score between 580 and 620 than it is between 620 and 640.
John, if someone is self-employed, they own their own plumbing, contracting business, or they teach tennis lessons or something, what do they need to do in order to prove their income for the mortgage, and how does that compare to what an employed borrower who might get a W-2 from their employer? How those different?
Yeah, well, it's definitely more paperwork intensive for a self-employed borrower to secure a mortgage, because we're going to dive into their tax returns. Typically, tax returns over the last 2 years, both personal and your business returns, if you are incorporated or have a partnership of some sort. And then, of course, we're going to have to drive in with some year-to-date profit and loss statements. We're going to have to create some numbers to see how you're doing this tax year, because we haven't filed tax returns yet for 2019.
Is there a certain number of years where they start looking at a business a little bit differently? In other words, somebody been in business for 20 years, do they look at the business differently than if you've been in the business for a year?
Definitely. One of the big things, the reason we're looking at those business tax returns is just as much about the stability of the business than it is actual income figures. So the longer the business has been in existence and been functioning and been profitable, the more leeway and flexibility we have with how much we can lend a self-employed borrower.